Hey, what's up? We're the Real Culture Queens. I'm Kait.
And I'm Assia. And today we're getting really real about new releases and streaming titles.
I saw News to the World, and I gave it 4 glasses.
And I saw Judas and the Black Messiah and gave it 5 glasses.
And here's why. Okay, so I think I have a surprise for you.
Okay.
Before I get into my review. Now, I hope you're going to be as excited about this as I am. Because if you're not, then I'm going to be sorely disappointed and hate you forever.
Totally casual.
Yeah,
totally
soup's casual. And if you're a listener, you better be excited too.
So much so that we abbreviate.
Or we abbreviate.
What was that from?
Instead of, I forget.
Our references are all over the place today. But anyway.
Okay, so, or maybe you've seen it. Okay, whatever, Kait, shut the hell up and just tell her. They have released the Emma Stone Cruella trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see it already?
I posted... Okay, because it was all over social media yesterday, and I put it in our stories.
I didn't even look at our stories. So stupid schoolwork. Damn it! What did you post?
I love editing out all your obscenities. I do. It's a passion project of mine because I'm going to put it in a collective as just like an audio exhibition and then send it to the CAC.
And that's with some of the ones that you haven't edited out. To the CAC.
A woman in COVID times. That's what it's going to be called.
Oh, okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
It's going to be the most unique sound bath anyone has ever
Sound bath. Just shower me.
Mm-hmm.
I like
shower me in obscenities. Oh, that's the title for the show.
And then you're like standing in a bathtub, just like, you know those weird experimental ones where it's just like a video? So it'd be like just with your hair in front of your face. Anyways. Well, I'm going to pretend that you didn't know about it. And honestly, okay, I want you to know this. When COVID happened, because that was really last year fall or last year spring.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was more wintery. They were talking about her playing Cruella. And when COVID, it was around that time. Then when COVID hit, one of my main concerns was they were going to halt production. And I am not kidding you. I would check on IMDb to see what the status was of them filming this. Oh
my God. Now that you're saying that, I remember.
Me bringing it up to you.
It seems like eons ago.
Yes, I've been very pumped about this for quite some time.
But no, that's the eerie part. Because I remember I was like, oh yeah, this is exciting. And then we were all... of course, not realizing the full extent because we had been, I won't say blissfully ignorant, but,
Who's to know how long this would last? Is that what you mean?
Oh, well, they knew, they just didn't want to tell us because, President Orange Cheeto was, like, trying to pretend like it wasn't real. God. Anyway.
Now I want Cheetos.
Flaming hot or traditional?
Traditional. It's not that I don't like flaming hot. It's just too hot for my mouth, and then there's no balance. Oh, maybe a mix. One hot, one Cheeto to cool the mouth down.
Or.
I'm listening.
Sprinkle with lime. Drizzle.
Does that cool down heat?
So, I recently learned a couple of things. One.
Tell me your ways.
One, that my cat likes pork rinds.
Ooh.
2, that I really love chili lime pork rinds. Okay. And those are the things that I learned. No,
Mic drop.
Mic drop.
I'm left cursing.
Is all about.
Now let me bathe you for the next 60 minutes in curse words.
About learning beyond.
She's such a... she's a unicorn. Continued learning.
I bought those snacks on a whim because
hold
I
on,
really
now you
like
did the lime over it, or they came lime?
It came like that, but that gave me the idea because I had created all these other, like, speaking of COVID things, you know, I was on this whole tangent of trying to cook new recipes and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
That I realized that you could kind of, what could you do with the heat? It's almost like you're, I don't want to say, not trying to lessen the intensity, but it seems
making
more
it
balanced.
more
when you have something
palatable.
cool.
Yeah. Or also sugar. Sugar balances out heat. So if like I made I made a marinara sauce the other day that was too hot, and so I put a little sugar in it, and it. So what we're gonna do with your Cheetos, I'm gonna eat the Cheeto. We're gonna sprinkle sugar on the lime, and then I'm gonna take a bite like it's a lemon drop shot.
Need documentation of this.
This sounds like Sleepover 2021 material.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Got a lot of big plans. Okay, continue, because that was a huge side tangent.
But I am super stoked. So this movie comes out May 28th. Guess whose birthday is 8 days before? So,
birthday present for Kate Staley.
We are totally going to go see this.
Oh, God.
And they better have their own pizzas by then, or I will bring them in. Not letting that go. And so we're totally doing this. I'm super excited. I did a little research on it. I saw the trailer. I did look up a little photos, but my point is there's some haters out there. I just ignored them. I don't care. I'm all in. It's a lot of controversy.
Oh.
Apparently.
What are some of the controversies?
I don't know. That's what I didn't even care. I was like, they're not ruining my morning.
Are they just bothered by the choice in Cruella, or are they bothered the fact that it kind of seems, at least by the trailers, get this treatment that's very much akin to Wicked, where it's like really seeing the villain more from their viewpoint and humanizing it? Or I guess more recent you could think of was Maleficent?
That's what I was thinking of. You know what what I kind of liked about it is, you know what it reminded me of? Is what is that movie we reviewed, and oh my god, I'm totally blanking. Beautiful blonde actress. She has pigtails. She plays Joker's girlfriend. Birds of Prey.
Harley Quinn.
She reminds me a lot of Harley Quinn because she admits in the trailer that she's crazy. You just see her in the trailer progressively getting nuttier with her makeup running, just like Harley Quinn. And Harley Quinn is relentless with the fact that she knows she's brutal. I actually got more of those vibes from it. We'll have to rewatch it after this together.
Yeah,
it did start off fluffy, and then towards the end, like at the very end of the trailer, it was like madness. That's what I got from it. We'll have to watch it together. Now I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm interested in exploring that more, because you're not the first person recently that I've had a discussion about Birds of Prey.
Oh, really?
Specifically. Yeah, I don't know why that's come up a lot in things, but I think that's timely and we should explore that. Maybe on like a pop culture hour, something like that. I don't know.
You know what we're going to start doing is we're going to rate the movies only by their trailers. We're never going to see them. Actually, but that would be kind of interesting.
Those folks on the internet.
I'm going to go ahead and give it 5 stars.
That was like dripping with judgment. I didn't mean it like that.
It's okay. You can wash yourself off in my cursing shower or whatever. Okay.
Sound bath.
I trademarked that.
No.
Along with my chili lime Cheeto shots. Okay. So I will actually talk about real things now. Well, that was real stuff, but it's super exciting. I need a swig of LaCroix hibiscus.
Man. Wow.
Yes.
The level of random.
Okay. All right. So I saw News to the World. Have you seen any previews or anything?
I have not.
So I took my mom for Valentine's Day. # soup's cute. And another a brief. And I'm not even going to talk anymore. I'm just going to be like, and you're going to be like, oh my God, you're right.
The scary part is that what she's saying is very real. She could talk some straight nonsense and I'd be like, oh girl, I know. And everyone else is like, what is wrong with him? You guys know it. You hear it.
Yeah, you get briefs.
5 minutes talking about chili lime Cheetos, which don't exist, by the way, but...
They're about to. I like
what's
fresh
up?
juice on anything. That's
Cheetos,
what she
what's
said.
up?
Cheetos, what's up? What is that? What do you tag them in our thing? Cheetos is gonna our commercial break would be Cheetos. Okay, so news to the world. I'm gonna shut the hell up. It is there's a lot of people in the movie, but the top cast here is Tom Hanks and Helena Zengel. She actually is an amazing actor, which I'll get into, but
Okay.
actress.
Ooh.
Hold on. Quick math. What year is it? 2001.
2021.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh my god. She's 13. Nailed it. Okay. I knew she was born in 2008. That is 13, right?
You asked me math,
2000
part of which I wasn't paying attention to. I was still laughing. What are you asking me to math?
2021
Minus
from
what?
2008. It's 13, right?
Sure.
I am 13 going on. Yes, I did it. I did it with my phalanges. Okay, so someone was like, okay, I'm going to shut the hell up and continue.
My God.
I know. So anyways, so this girl, she's 13 in real life. She plays like 10 in the movie, whatever. She is from Germany. She's amazing. She's been in some indie films prior to this that I haven't seen or heard of, but they looked good. I watched the previews. But anyways, so the movie, News to the World, I took my mom on Valentine's Day. We weren't really sure what to expect, but Tom Hanks, I mean, it can't be. It's not like Bruce Willis movies. They're just kind of tanking. That was mean.
That
but
was a lot of shade.
some people do just need to pay their rent, and I totally get it. What? Did I say something wrong? Okay.
They try to keep all them houses. What is the Michael Caine used to say all the time?
Michael Caine.
When they made fun of that movie that he made, and he was like, "Hey, that money bought a house."
Oh, I do remember that. I don't remember what the movie is though.
Yeah.
Okay, so News to the World. Thank you, IMDb. The synopsis is: a Civil War veteran agrees to deliver a girl taken by the Kiowa people years ago to her aunt and he takes him to her aunt and uncle against her will. They travel hundreds of miles and face grave dangers as they search for a place that either can call home. I gotta say, whoever wrote this could use a little work. I should have pre-read this. Wow, I'm being such a dick. Okay, whoever wrote that, you're fantastic. It's just hard to read with all the punctuation. So anyways, the Civil War ended May 13th, 1865. I just did.
You really put the specific date, 1865.
Girl, I remembered it. I memorized on it because it was right before my birthday.
I was about to say, the only reason why you said that is because it's in May.
And I know what Cruella comes out because it's in May.
It's not related to Appomattox, though, but continue.
ABBA?
Oh, no.
What is Appomattox?
That's where they conceded. That's where the papers were signed. At Appomattox, the court. Okay, continue.
I don't know. She said something about General Lee earlier, and I'm like, General Lee's chicken? I don't even know. Okay, I'm just joking about that one. I don't even need chicken.
Oh, my head hurts.
I'm going to put lime on it, though.
I feel like we're going to have to start this over, because I don't remember what we're talking about.
Okay, so News to the World. That's the movie I saw. That's the premise of the movie. Now, my highlights. Okay. I will say, it's almost like a soft Western, and I don't mean like soft porn. Although, kind of, when I wrote soft Western, I was like, oh, I'll show Tay.
You thought you were going to get that joke in there, you weirdo.
Actually, it just came to me.
She said that braggingly, y'all.
I want you to know.
We really gotta start filming these darn things.
Girl, I'm gonna get it set up in here. Okay, so anyways, so you still get the grit of the Western and
Sure.
but because of the characters, so he delivers the news. He travels from town to town reading the newspaper, and either people don't have time because they're working, or they can't read probably. And I don't mean that mean.
Yeah, no.
They just couldn't.
At the time, illiteracy was much higher because of a number of things that we won't get into because we don't have the time.
Right.
But
I know. Yeah, there's a lot to this movie. I found historically, I think you'd like it. Historically, it was really interesting to watch. And it really, I don't know, I can't put my finger on it, but because they weren't like cowboys or sheriffs or something, you know, the characters that it was surrounding, which is normally what you see this kind of Western around, because they were just regular civilian people trying to get along. Please
don't bring family references.
I'm not. That was just for you. That was an inside joke, and I shouldn't have said it.
Thank you.
But anyways, so they're just, you know, so it was really interesting seeing life. Kind of, I haven't watched a ton of Westerns. I've probably watched like 10 in my life.
And I love specifically spaghetti Westerns, so this is interesting. So
I love spaghetti, so that we could watch one together. But so they, I'm so sort of hungry. I missed my 4 o'clock snack.
Is that what this is?
Yeah.
You need a snack.
It's okay. I got hard-boiled eggs downstairs. I'm doing a metabolism cleanse. I'm gonna eat my eggs when you leave.
You've officially turned into my dad. Are you gonna have them with hot water?
No.
Boiled eggs in hot water.
No.
Yes. Separately. Not as in like he's boiling the eggs in hot water
and drinking
so that they are hard-boiled eggs.
I'm having...
He is on the side.
What?
Drinking hot water.
Gross. You're just making a fart in his mouth. That's what I'm like hot sulfur.
No, you sound like Mom.
Let's go back to the spaghetti. That was someone's palate. Hot egg. Man, I don't even want my hard-boiled eggs anymore. You ruined it. Okay, I'm gonna plow through this. So anyways.
Again, guys. COVID.
Keep up.
Being isolated in the house long periods of time leads to this. Continue.
Crazy
they can't
eyes.
see you making that face.
So anyway, so it's from these perspectives of these, you know, like very like civilian-y people. So I really liked that aspect of the film, just the whole vibe. You got to really just appreciate the time period of the movie. For me, who hasn't watched a lot of Westerns, the relationship between Tom Hanks's character and I can't remember his name, something Kid. He was a general, something Kid.
I want to look this up now.
Okay. And then the girl, so the girl was raised by a German family, but she was taken by the Kiowa Indians when she was really young. So she lived with these Indians. So she speaks
the title of the film again?
News to the World.
Okay.
So she speaks a tiny bit of German, but mostly speaks Kiowa. So the whole time they're trying to teach each other. Eventually they're trying to communicate, and they're in like, you know, they're traveling by themselves for long distances. But what's cool is that a lot of their
Captain Kidd.
What the hell is his first? Oh, they don't say. So what I really enjoyed about it was there was a lot of talk. Like Tom Hanks would just kind of keep talking to her, like he was in that movie where he talks to a ball on an island. The hell is that movie? Shoot. Castaway.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the name of the volleyball, but that's okay.
So he was just like talking to her, but she was really doing stuff. But anyways, so he was talking, but she couldn't understand a word. But what I really liked about it is it was like a lot of nonverbal acting, which I love to watch. And considering the time period, I don't know, I just really liked being enveloped in the time period. The acting was just fantastic. There was so much that had to emote without. There was a scene where Tom Hanks, it was a profile shot, and he's looking straight. He's not looking at the camera.
Sure.
And it's kind of an emotional scene, and there was so much that you could just sense from him. It was, I remember thinking, you know, everything that he's emotionally feeling right now, just from, I mean, for all I know, he's like sad that the McRib's gone, but it worked. It worked, and I loved it. And I was just like, man, it was so fun to watch. And the little girl was just great. I mean, she was, you know, just untethered, you know.
Yeah.
It was really great. I think, if that's what she wants
So
out of
it was
life.
really like, it sounds like it was a study in emoting, which is very hard. And I think the other reason why I like Westerns is because there typically aren't a lot of there isn't a lot of dialogue. Mm-hmm. And so you have to rely on that. And it sounds like they chose like a strong supporting to Tom Hanks, great abilities to be able to do that.
Yeah. I'm curious about, it's made after a book with the same title. I'm curious to read the book. And then so I liked that it was a soft Western. I liked the relationship, the dynamic between them, and the acting there. And there was not a lot of things. The movie implied a lot, which I like when they don't assume you're an idiot and you can look at the TV screen.
Yeah.
And then the last quality I really liked about it is I thought the story itself was just very unique. I didn't know that a job was to go around and read the news. Now, characters in the movie made mention to Tom Hanks that they didn't know that could be a profession. So I don't know how common that was. Or maybe the writer made it up. Now I kind of want to know.
Say that again? What was the profession?
So he would go from city to city reading the newspapers.
Wow.
And they would give him a dime. People would give him a dime or a nickel or whatever. I think it was a dime.
That's fascinating. I mean, that makes sense that it could have been a profession because, like we were alluding to earlier, is that it really was, reading was for the wealthy, and then also reading was, kept from people like slaves in terms of power dynamics. So if you knew someone that could read, you would go to them and have them read things for you.
Yeah.
So I could imagine that would be a 1800s side hustle. Not even side hustle.
A whole hustle.
Main gig. A whole main gig.
Well, and here's the other thing too that I thought was cool was he would read news from other places.
Also makes sense.
And they like they were talking about, I don't remember what pandemic was then now, but they talked about that. And this takes place in Texas too. So there's a lot of cultural
historical
heat.
references in
yes.
It. That's so odd that we both picked historical things.
Yeah. Yeah. Not even intentionally because I hate learning, but I'm glad about the lime thing. What was that laugh? I should have my own cartoon. Okay. So I liked how unique the story was because I didn't know that was a profession. This idea that he had to take her, I think it was like 200 miles south to take her to her aunt and uncle. I just really enjoyed the film. Now, the reason I gave it 4 glasses was because it was pretty predictable. You kind of knew how it was going to end. You knew the plot twists in the center of it. But
and that was a plus for you.
It kind of was.
Wow. Okay.
That was the downside. That's why I didn't give it 5. But I think it worked for the film in the sense that if it had ended in any other way, you'd be disappointed.
Got it.
If the plot twists in the center had happened differently, it sometimes when something's predictable doesn't mean that it isn't because it was unfair or shouldn't have played out that way. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when a couple break up a lot.
Traditional storyline is okay. You don't always need a twist.
Yeah. And sometimes you're like, have you ever left a movie? And I know I have, and I can't think back. But when you leave a movie and you're like, you wanted the main character to live, but the main character dies. And although it makes it kind of an epic film you think about, you're still kind of pissed.
Yeah.
That was kind of like, now, I don't think I'm giving anything away here, but, you're glad about the ending.
Yeah.
I think. It was one of those movies that you wanted that. So it was predictable, but there was so much more, especially as someone who's interested in film and cinematography and acting, specifically for that, not just for the novelty of seeing a movie. I thought it was very interesting to see, especially on a big screen.
Yeah.
It was very fun. And there was only like 2 other people in the theater with us. So go to the theater. There's no one there. Trust me.
And I'm looking at some of the images here because, I mean, it seems like they relied a lot on the great acting and then obviously like
lighting,
cinematography and the director of photography brava.
Yeah. It's amazing. And Tom Hanks isn't she adorable? That little girl is so cute.
Oh, she looks like a doll in that photo.
Yeah, she's like so vicious in this movie, but when she smiles, she's just so pretty. It's her character alone. She just like, she possesses, I didn't want to kind of get into it because her background is interesting, but her anger is so raw for such a girl of a young age. Yeah. It's really fun to watch. So, if you don't mind, from the reviews that I read, the only thing that people didn't like, some people thought it was boring. I didn't think it was boring. And some people thought it was too predictable. I didn't mind that. And there were parts in it that weren't predictable to me. You know, it's just situational. I thought it was good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Okay, I'll stop. Oh, that's a great shot too. Okay.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. That scene, like that scene. Okay, that scene alone. It's just this girl. It's the girl standing in the prairie with the sun coming up. They shot a lot of things at that golden hour, but he just wakes up and he doesn't know where she is, and she's just standing there, and she turns and looks at him, and at that moment, it was so cool because they don't say anything, but you could tell that he appreciated that she just appreciated it as being a little girl watching the sunrise, and he thought maybe she ran away again. And it was just, that was all the scene was. They didn't say anything. It was just that moment, exchange, and then they moved on about their day. There was a lot of really cool just interactions where they just let the story breathe.
Organically.
Yeah. And I just really, I appreciated that. And also, given because of this pandemic, we're all kind of right now like learning just to live more simply. You know, we're not going out and doing the quote unquote extravagant things that we once were. So I don't know about you, but a lot of people on social media are talking about, you know,
sparsity.
Yeah. And we're learning to appreciate smaller things. And like, I feel like given that time, that's what there was. Like her doll was made out of straw or corn husks, you know, and I was just like,
very common.
Yeah. And it was just like, I know these are things that are in a lot of movies, but given the time we're in right now, and it was kind of an interesting, that part of it too was an interesting reflection, you know?
Yeah. Oh, wow. There's a lot that we could go on down with sparsity, and I'm not going to derail your points for that. But I think there's something to say also just with entertainment on that level is that we're used to, you know, bells and whistles and all this flashiness. And the moment that we're asked to step away and just let that storyline stand out, it can either be really cool and exciting for folks, or because we're so used to having things sometimes literally, if you're going to see a movie in 3D, thrown in your face.
Yeah.
That this can seem, you know what I mean?
No, totally.
Like it's so bare bones or skeletal, but you know, it doesn't, if the story's good, then you don't have to add a lot on top of it to compel people.
That's funny that you brought that up, because it kind of reminds me of this movie called Serena with Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence, and tanked.
Okay.
It did not do well, and so I didn't watch it for the longest time, and you know how much I love Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper.
Yes.
It totally tanked. Long story short, I watched it, and it was kind of like, it wasn't, I forget what era it was in, but a depression sort of era, time, whatever. Very slow, kind of slow moving in some ways, but it had I thought the storyline itself was strong, and it really made you think about women in that time, and I don't know, it was a really kind of almost like a weird take on feminism for that. It's a strange movie. I don't know how to describe it without getting too in depth. You should watch it. It's on Hulu if you get a chance.
Please tell me, because I don't know if but I realized, or I've noticed this, and maybe this is my imagination, but please write in and tell me if this is something else that you guys have noticed. But like, we often memorialize or do movies that revolve around World War II, right? Because there's so much there that's easy to uplift. You know, we're fighting, it's literally a battle between good and evil. And then there's other stories that, you know, make it even more compelling when you're thinking about the stories of what happened to the Japanese with internment camps, and how soldiers of color, like black soldiers and indigenous people fought and had different types of discrimination against them, fighting for a country that, treated them as like second class citizens. But a time that I noticed that we don't go to, which is, again, that scarcity, that sparsity, is Depression era films.
Yeah, I just looked it up.
Don't like talking about sacrificing, and I think that says a lot about our culture.
That's really funny because that's all this movie is about. It's sacrifice, and it's supposedly shot in North Carolina, and the whole film is about sacrifice and her as a woman. What gives her character. I really enjoyed the film, but I think it got poor reviews because, like what you said, it's not a lot of glitz and glam. You have to think, and you have to put yourself in the shoes of that character and the time. A lot of movies that move slow like that, they aren't moving slow. They're requiring something else of you that you're not willing to give.
Wow.
So I think this movie has more going on than Serena. I thought Serena had a lot going on, but I can see how maybe, someone else didn't. But anyways, 4 glasses, still see it, even though it's a little predictable. I kind of want to read the book now because I bet there's a lot more elements in the book. Yeah. So, okay, on to your review now, Judas.
No, that's fine. I guess that's another thing that our films had in common, outside of the fact that they're, in essence, and it's weird calling a film that happened or an event, a time and place that happened in the late 60s as a period piece. But both of our films were period pieces, and a lot about sacrifice. That's another theme that I have here, but... Anywho.
Did you watch it on HBO Max?
Yes, because, so the film that I watched was Judas and the Black Messiah. That recently came out on HBO Max on the 12th. And HBO, from our last review, said that they really figured out how to balance the streaming releases and the theatrical release. And so what they're doing with any of their titles that are available on their streaming service... you can for 31 days, and then after that is theatrical release only. So you now, between...
Wait, say...
Yes. Like, that's their standard practice now, which is a bizarre thing to say. But you've seen how these streaming services have had to shift due to COVID. But one of the things that they've been doing now is that they're hyping up and promoting all of their... theatrical releases, but they're having a streaming release first, and it's a limited time run. So that way, because what are you going to choose? If you're going to sit at home, it's available the whole time and it's in the theater. You're not really prepared. People to go back to the theater.
So for their own movies, for HBO's?
Yes, specifically.
Got it.
That I was saying in our last episode that I thought they had figured out and done well, even though there have been like directors who've not liked that and have propelled against it. But I'm just like, what else are we going to do in this time period? People still want to see movies, good movies, great stories. And there are people who also want to see those stories on big screens like we do, because not only do we like movies, but we like the movie-going experience. So I think their model, what they're doing, is clever because they know, especially in different periods around the world, a certain part of the hemisphere is experiencing cold and all these
some
other
people
inclement
seriously
weather.
Can't get out.
Yes. They don't want to because it might not be safe, and they also might because of COVID, and they also might not be safe because of weather.
Yeah, I can't even. Yeah, my mom slips on the. She just can't get around. I don't want her slipping on ice.
Yes.
I'll be like Chris on ice.
but it's not
one
like the fun
seat,
Disney version,
front row, exactly.
Yeah, it's not like Ariel going to be like twirling around.
I don't know what that was.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's not a song from there, but okay.
I don't know where I was going with that. Okay.
Oh, that's all right. So yes, I watched Judas and the Black Messiah on HBO Max, which I'll say again, you can stream that now through early March, forgive the rough date, but it's roughly 31 days after the streaming release, which was February 12th. The synopsis is that Bill O'Neill infiltrates the Black Panther Party per FBI agent Mitchell and J. Edgar Hoover. As party chairman Fred Hampton ascends, he falls for a fellow revolutionary en route, and a battle wages for O'Neill's soul. And I'll start specifically with O'Neill, because this this actual person who existed, was one that's played by LaKeith Standfield, who does the most amazing job in this film. And one of the craziest things, and that made me worry, is that I recently watched an interview with him saying that this film kind of like effed him up mentally.
Really?
Because it was another one of those deep dives into this character that, into this person who he didn't agree at all with, like, his tactics, you know? And this film did a lot of humanizing. I think that's one of the things that I really liked, outside of the fact that it humanized Fred Hampton, who had previously been villainized for, you know, seen as and cast as this radical leftist who is really all about cop killing and being, in essence, what they also say a lot in the movie is that he's, you know, the Black Panther Party is the basically Black KKK, is that they were, you know, a militant group who were out to do the exact same things, but for Black people, which wasn't the case. And truthfully, when you look back at that time, there was a huge rift in the party. And what the FBI did was really work to build those rifts and create infighting, which helped to dissolve the party later on,
right,
which is what they wanted. But when
very
you look
strategic.
at it from very strategic, very insidious, there's so much about it where you get swept up in like the paranoia of it, which I thought was great. And I'll get into that in terms of other things outside of the themes. But when you first meet him, he is posing as an FBI agent in the film in order to steal cars. And so he initially gets busted by the actual cops. And they said, okay, so instead of, we'll make an exchange for you since you would serve this amount of federal time for impersonating an FBI agent and for Grand Theft Auto, or you can serve as an informant to get out of your time. And because I think LaKeith did a really good job of just showing how messy he was personally, because this was a criminal who wasn't very, or at least the way he was existing was a criminal who wasn't very sophisticated, and he was just going through whatever quick hustle he could get through.
He was just living in every moment.
Yes.
He wasn't really thinking it all the way through.
And you see that throughout the film, which you end up, instead of just despising him like, oh, he's a rat, you're like, oh man, or a snitch or whatever. You think it's not even just that. It's like he is so lost and he doesn't want to be part of this assassination, but he is held hostage by this because he wants to get out of, you know, prison time, federal prison time. And he ends up with a life or lives in the balance. And so you kind of, it's a great
I saw
descent into this man's mind and with his battles. And they do that a lot. That's really great with the dream sequences there.
Oh, cool.
Within the movie too.
Yeah, I saw the preview for it, and it looked I wanted to see it. It looked very intense.
Yes. And maybe it was easier for me because I already knew what happened to him, or I knew the story, but I never really... You get to see it from the snitch's perspective, which I think is fascinating because it's easy to villainize anyone. And I don't think particularly what he did was commendable at all. But you get an understanding of
walk a mile in my shoes.
You get why he felt like his hand was being forced. And it was. There was a lot of manipulation. There was a lot of... it was just watching it. I think that's what left me with the distaste, and knowing that, you know, our governments were part of this.
Right. Yeah.
City, state, and local. I mean, it wasn't our city, state.
I know what you meant.
It was Illinois, but still.
Right. It close. It
was our federal government. But yeah, so some of the major themes, it's like the justification of the state-sanctioned assassination. So if you could get over that. The tell him about my Jake. Oh. That is very poignant and relates to what we're going through right now with say her name or say his name. There's a scene where Algie Smith, who plays Jake Winters. So Chairman Fred Hampton goes to see his mother after he had been killed. And there's a point where she's like, I don't want to talk about, that I can't really deal with that right now. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about something else, anything else. She's just mourning her son. She says, tell him about my Jake. She goes into this whole beautiful monologue of how she always in her mind as a mother remembers him as like a 7-year-old, as a little kid, like as moms do, and those things where you see him, and the media or the paper had really been portraying him and anyone else in the news as a villain, just like anyone with George Floyd, any of that. It's like the justification of being judge, jury, and executioner all in one moment is okay because they are only seen for the bad things that they did or the thing that
is highlighted or
exactly
exacerbated
instead of focusing on who they were as a person. And that really, it shows a lot of off of a summer, more than summer of protests.
Yeah.
Yelling that, screaming that. This movie really says that in the quietest way, which, it's not very quiet. I mean, even when she's talking about that, she's talking about the death of the Soto brothers.
It's more subtle compared to, like, kind of some of the things that we've been experiencing right now.
It's like if you don't want us marching in the streets, you don't want us taking a knee. It's like, how much are you going to tell us, quote unquote, or that we're supposed to hear, that we're supposed to not fight for our own freedoms? There's no, if someone is literally standing on your neck, you're just going to be quiet? Like, I don't understand. And she was I thought her moment as she was talking about that just was beautiful. And if you didn't understand what people were so upset about, you get it in that moment to remember who her son was before he was murdered. Because she also mentions, like, the Soto brothers when she's talking to him. And the Soto brothers is another one that, sadly, you don't know about or much is about. Like, if you Googled them, you'd probably see more about a business than the brothers. But what they were these, specifically, teenage boys from one of the projects in one of the larger projects in Chicago, who were protesting for another stoplight because people were getting killed by cars running through it. So they were just marching for stoplights so that people would not run. And yeah, both of their deaths, they were both killed for being like radicals. I think, I don't know how else to express it. I didn't realize that I was going to get so frantic talking about this, but I think after watching it, there was so much anxiety that I had while watching it. I think it's coming out now while talking about it. So outside of that, then it's like, what's it like to be a mother in a revolution, and what's it like to be in love with a revolutionary? Oh. That I loved, because we often glorify our leaders, right? For thinking about, just like what we were talking about earlier, we talk about all the sacrifices that they made, but we don't really understand what that meant to do that.
Right.
And there's this beautiful scene where Fred is talking to Deborah after he's read her journal, by the way, which was her private journal.
Not her public journal.
What are you doing? Well, and she goes, and she's saying to him, okay, let me tell you something. And she reads him in this poem, because that's how they kind of fell in love. She goes to hear him because he's very charismatic. And she basically wants to be a speechwriter. Like, I think you're phenomenal, but you could use a professional, which was very cute in the way that their romance budded, right? And she is this great poet, and she, in the scene, was reading him a poem about what it's like for her to be fearful, because she's also pregnant with their child. And thinking about the moment past the revolution, because you're so busy in the fight that there's this, obviously, this fear of the unknown that is so relatable in everything that we're going through outside of just thinking about it in a revolutionary context. And at that time, it's like when you're, as she's saying, growing a life in you, you're thinking about all those things that the baby's going to be born into. And one of the lines from her poem is like, perhaps we're here for more than just war with our bodies. Mm. And she was saying, in essence, in a plea, like, yes, I love you. Yes, I still want to be with you. I don't regret us having a child, but I want I need to know, in essence, if there's going to be an end to this, or if there's an end to this, or how does it end? And that's heavy. That's so heavy, because I know she's not the only woman who has been, with a revolutionary who is, also an activist in her own right. But then you're also doing it's the duality of being like, oh, but I have other lives to consider about, and I have to be there to make sure this life gets what it needs. And I thought that was a beautiful moment of all of those things coming together that maybe you don't think about. You don't think about those sacrifices again.
Yeah, it's so, and it's not, but in some ways too, even just knowing that you could entertain the thought of turning a blind eye, yes. Can I sweep some of this under the rug and just live my life with my baby and be just happy that I'm not going to have this baby and not have to worry about the slew of other things. And even though you know in your heart of hearts that isn't in the end going to suffice and make you happy, but those are choices, and sometimes you need to hear somebody else go, that you're not, this is the right choice. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think, that's so true of so many things, and that's how you probably know you're onto something great,
Yeah, and I think that was one of the major things that worked for me. I didn't have any things that didn't work. Our format is like, what worked? What didn't work? What worked for me is the humanization at every level. We often see these people as flat. They don't have any layers. We see them as bullet points. This movie, what it did well was really trying to dive into all of the mental and emotional states of these people. And it weighed a lot, going back to Bill, it weighed a lot on Bill. He was, before his death, which was a suicide, he was part of the PBS documentary, Eyes on the Prize 2? Yeah, 2. It aired on MLK Day in 1990. No. He committed suicide that evening after it aired.
What?
Yeah, because, can you imagine living with the guilt of that? Okay.
Wow, I did not know that.
They kept, the biggest part about it was that, Bill, at most, I think he was hoping that it would just end with arrest or imprisonment. But the fact that they kept pushing because they didn't want him to, as J. Edgar Hoover said, this was the other quote. Oh, God, please tell me I wrote it down. Prison made Huey P. Newton a celebrity, and it made Eldridge Cleaver a best-selling author. Prison is a temporary solution.
Oh, my.
As in, saying without outright saying it, no, he has to die. So the other thing that worked about the film was the cinematography. Like I said, me being anxious even talking about it, it's with all of the different sequences and the shots, you really felt swept up in the moment of what was going on. And especially in Bill's feelings, because he was unraveling from the very beginning, because you see the very start of his role in this assassination plot. Because at first he thinks he's confident, in and out. I can play a radical. I'm just biding my time until I get this off my rap and I'm out of here.
Yeah, he didn't take in the gravity of it.
But it starts to eat away at him, and LaKeith does a great job of that. Unfortunately, too much so where it started affecting his own mental as an actor. I have to send you. In fact, I'll put that in the link, guys, so that you can see that that interview that he did. We shouldn't downplay or avoid difficult stories.
Agreed.
Point.
Yeah.
Because they are. But this one has to be told. It has to be seen because I realize there's a new generation really learning about this. And it's Black History Month.
The way you said that.
I totally went full on, I'm a guilt you like mom. Like, if there's any other time, if you guys don't want to let... I mean, it's... And... Oh, Carter G. Woodson, I get it. Black History Month is important. It should be all the time, but you should see this in March in theaters when it's actually Women's History Month. No, I'm kidding. Okay, I'm going down a rabbit hole. The point is, you should see it. You should watch it.
You should see it. You should give it 5 glasses. So, things that won't give you anxiety. Do you want to hear my streaming list?
Yes, let's talk about binge-worthy streaming titles.
Okie dokie. So Mr. Mayor, have you seen this? On NBC. So the premise is a wealthy businessman becomes the mayor of Los Angeles. So shout out, thank you to Tina Fey for bringing this. This is Ted Danson and Holly Hunter. Holly Hunter, I swear, she looks like an untamed mouse in this. I did not know.
Does she really?
Yeah, I love that about her. She looks crazy as hell.
Oh, I need images. Continue.
And there's some other names you'll recognize in there, and some people I haven't seen before whom I love. Comedically, there is not... This episode, we were talking about pilot episodes that just come out with a bang. It's this. This just came out with a bang. There was no awkward transition or anything. It's like 30 Rock and The Good Place had a child, but it doesn't have all the feel-good lessons that The Good Place has, but it does have a lot of jabs at LA's like bandwagony trends.
Yes.
It's smart, it's funny, it's fast paced. I watch them when they air.
Tina Fey isn't known for that kind of comedy at all.
Not at all. She's just a slum.
Smart and fast paced. What?
No,
never.
Nah. Even my mom thinks it's funny, which that kind of sense of humor she doesn't. She's more like a Seinfeld-y. Not that Seinfeld doesn't have fast paced, funny humor. It's okay.
Yes, my ringtone is Knight Rider. Sorry, guys. Whoops.
So, anyways, I watched every episode twice, is my point. I watched it streaming and when it was on the NBCs. That's what happens when you don't have to work or have anywhere to go. COVID, thank you.
Thank you, COVID.
Thank you, and thank so much sitcoms are coming out. If you have rabbit ears or whatever, there she looks. There she looks. Doesn't she look like an untamed mouse?
Yeah, I don't think Holly Hunter looks... I don't think she looks squirrely.
She's tame there.
Oh, okay.
She's tame. I mean, that is her character.
Yes.
But that's like their headshots for their characters. Yes. It looks like. She looks... I wish they had... If they had...
looking at the stills from IMDb, guys, so...
Her character is, if you see a picture, her hair is always like all over the place. It's so funny. Okay. It's just like, even there she looks more put together, but she's just, and her character itself is squirrely. Okay. She's an ornery. She's ornery. It's a really interesting character.
She's a really good actor. So I enjoy seeing her do roles like that.
Yeah. I really like the show. It's fun. Then the other show I've been watching now is on Netflix. I think it just hit. It's called The Crew, and it's with Kevin James. Yes, all of the things that you're thinking are true. It is about a pit crew for NASCAR. So now all the things you were thinking are even more true. However, as my boyfriend is a race car driver, I thought this will be a show that we can easily both enjoy and put on, which is a hard combination for us. We're rewatching The Ranch for the third time because, well, we can't settle on the same show.
Seriously?
Yes.
Again?
Yes. And you know me, I've watched Friends like 80 billion times.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, there's like, what, so 10 years of Friends?
Yeah, I know. I will say, to the ranch's credit, a lot goes on that I forgot. But life goes on.
I've never watched The Ranch.
It's good.
Which was Ashton Kutcher and
Sam Elliott.
Yeah.
But so, anyways, it's a fun show. Like if you know someone who's into cars or you just like Kevin James, it's actually pretty funny. I would say it's a step above formulaic sitcoms.
Really?
It's definitely that formula, but it's a little bit better. A lot of the jokes are a little funnier. Like I more actually laughed out loud.
Really?
Like Everybody's Loves Raymond, for instance, or whatever. I can't even remember what Kevin James's show was called. A lot of times I didn't actually laugh out loud.
King of Queens.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I used to watch that with my grandma because she loved Kevin James and thought he was so cute and always called him her teddy bear.
Oh, he is such a teddy bear in the show. I don't know. The first couple episodes were a little rough. There's only 10 episodes out. The first 2 were a little rough, still funny, but I don't know. I really like the show. It's a fun right before bed, or if you want to do a puzzle on your iPad situation. Okay, and the other one, last streaming that I want to mention that I have some issues with. I have not seen it. It's called Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar. Have you seen the previews for this?
No. But you know I'm gonna look at this. It is
Kristen Wiig.
Barb and Star.
Yes. And Annie Mumalo. That's how you say her name. They are from the Midwest, and they leave their small town for the first time ever and go to Vista Del Mar. It's a comedy. It's Kristen Wiig. I mean, hello.
Holy cow, look at this. Wow.
Yeah. I really want to see this. And the director also directed Bless This Mess, which only had like 2 episodes on. It's on Hulu. It's fantastic. Oh my God, we just came back full circle. That has Dax Shepard. The Ranch has Dax Shepard. I'm just saying. Okay, so you can see this for $20
stills for this
on Amazon Prime. I know. I want to see it. Now, I will say the previews look like it sucks, but the previews aren't very good. But the reviews on
Amazon's
IMDb
charging what?
$20.
$20.
It's supposed to be in theaters too, but I can't find it locally because I tried. But it's gotten really good reviews on.
I swear we are not sponsored by HBO Max, but they really do got it figured out. Why are you charging?
Oh my God! Hold on.
Charging for films inside of a streaming service that you're already paying for. And you've already probably buying all the other streaming things like their music, which I don't.
I don't know if it's an
Prime.
I don't know if it's an Amazon movie. I just know that it's on Amazon Prime. But listen to this. So it's gotten a lot of really good reviews. Mm-hmm. Okay. This one, I just want to read this snippet. Okay. This lady gave it an 8 out of 10. This is her review on IMDb. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I was super drunk when I watched this. In fact, I'm still drunk, and I will probably be for several more hours. That being said, this was probably the funniest movie I've seen in a long time. Maybe it's the pandemic, or maybe it's Reba McEntire emerging from the ocean as an angel mermaid or whatever for absolutely no reason. Dude, I don't know what the hell is going on, but I loved it. So with that being said, though it's my streaming list. I'm just kidding. I'm not that intense. I'm not paying $20. I'm going to wait till it's freebies, or I can see in the theater like a grown adult.
Okay.
Sorry.
You are hungry. Let's wrap this up so you can eat.
I just realized in my head I made a lot of leaps and they didn't come out loud.
I realize now why we are so rattled. We did not eat before recording, which we normally do. This explains everything. Okay.
No, it doesn't.
Well, they already know how weird we are regardless, but this is the level of weird we get when we don't eat. Hence the reason why Kait is in charge of snacks whenever we travel. Okay.
Whenever we travel.
So,
it's something.
The book bag full of snacks?
That's true.
Okay. I'm just saying. I'm not knocking it.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for listening. Okay.
We really do gotta think of a better ending. So we just like trail off at some point. Like,
yeah, we don't have a formal ending. I don't care. They might have turned us off hours ago. That's their problem.
oh, all of this is gonna be edited out. Why do you think I feel so comfortable just saying whatever right now? You know I'm gonna cut this all out. But yes. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. All these titles will be listed. Please check them out. We'll see you next time.